and everything is performance. What is it to perform is a question we ask. Because to understand that, we have to take it in relation to four different aspects, four different parts. The first one is being, existence in itself. It is a philosophical version. Okay. And this being could be active, static, material, spiritual. And the second one is doing. Everything that exists does some sort of an action. The third one is showing doing. You display something, you perform something. That could be like, for example, how Lady Macbeth is washing her hands. Okay, and this is displaying an action, which is always in a continuum. It's always in flux. And performance studies come in when you explain this showing doing. When you explain, when you point out Lady Macbeth's hand washing scene, the world of and as performance, that is where performance studies come in. Now, performances, they mark identities, they bend time, they reshape and adorn the body, they utilize body, and they tell stories. Performances of art and ritual and ordinary life. What connects them all? They are all behaviors. What behavior? They are all restored behaviors. Now, restored behaviors could be once performed and twice performed, or repeatedly behaved behaviors. And twice behaved behaviors, they are performed actions. People train for rehearsals, trainings, but that's not just it. Because everyday life involves years of practice and training. How you learn to eat, how you learn to walk, how you learn to talk. They all took years of practice and training. The activities of the public life, sometimes they are calm, sometimes they are full of turmoil, sometimes the activities are visible, sometimes they are masked. But what we need to take into account is they are all collective performances. Now, as I've mentioned before, there are two types of behaviors, once behaved and twice behaved. It is also true that many events and behaviors are one time events too. Like, for example, how you take birth once, how you die once. Now, this oneness is a function of the context actually. Reception and countless ways of bits of behavior can be organized and performed and displayed. The overall event may appear to be new or original, but its constituent parts, if you break it down, if an activity is considered as a once performed behavior, if you break it into small parts and analyzed, we can understand that they are all restored behaviors as well. Now, life like art, as Kaprov called much of his works are close to everyday life. He highlights and makes one aware of ordinary behaviors like paying close attention to how a meal is prepared, looking back at one's footsteps after walking in the desert, paying attention to simple activities performed in the present moment. How they develop a kind of a consciousness, a Zen consciousness in relation to the daily, the ordinary life. How we need to honor the ordinary is noticing how ritual like everyday life is, how much daily life consists of repetitions. And Erving Goffman defines performance as an activity of a given participant on a given occasion which serves to influence in any way any of the other participants. You need not connect it to the on-stage performance. We can even compare this to any real life scenario too. Taking a particular participant and his performance as a basic point of reference, we can say that those who contribute to the other performances as audience and observers and co-participants, they all play a kind of a, relation, a constant flux. And when this is taken to a different occasion, this is like a social relationship, defining social role as enactment of rights and duties. We can say that a social role will evolve one or more parts, and each of these different parts could be presented by the performer on a series of occasions, on various times, to different kinds of audience, to an audience of same persons too. Say, for example, if the classroom teaching is taken as, you know, an example, how the teacher interacts with the same students on a daily basis, but all those performances would be different in nature. Now, there is a paradox here because we said that every behavior is restored behavior, but every performance is different from one another too. Why? Because fixed bits of behavior can be recombined in variations, endless variations. Second thing is, no event can exactly copy another event because the nuances of the mood and the tone of the voice, the body language, everything would be different. Therefore, we come back to the old statement, something we come across again and again. Context make each instance unique. What about the digital productions then? Someone can ask. Because you watch a movie again and again and again and you don't find anything different there. Still, the context of the reception make it different. How you watch a movie with your family, how you watch a movie with your friends, how you watch your movie on your mobile screen, they're all different, right? So the reception is different every time. The thing could be exactly the same, but the event in which the thing participate is different. The uniqueness of an event does not depend on the materiality, but its interactivity. And the interactivity, as we know, is always in flux. Okay, then, what about live performances? Here, the production as well as the reception, they vary from instance to instance. In daily life, context cannot be perfectly controlled. Say, for example, we we are going to watch a movie consciously. That is not that is a context we can control actually, but in our daily life we cannot always decide, we cannot arrange our activities in a perfect way, in a controlled way. So ironically, performances, they resist that which produces them. And performance is not in everything but between things. Where do performances take place? It's not in something, it's between something. Like how a family teach a child to eat. The mother is bringing the spoon to her mouth first and then to the child so that the child may learn how to eat. And a father who is taking this in his video camera is capturing this moment, and later this boy or this girl, this child, shows the same video to teach her own child, to show how it is done. So it's a performance, recorded, replayed, interaction is going on. Performances exist only as actions and interactions and relationships. See, for example, this is a advertisement where a football coach Bill Parcells in an advertisement for a car, automobiles, which appear in New York Times 1999. Okay, so if you want to impress Bill Parcells, perform. That is what is being said here. Now, Bill Parcells is a competitive, very difficult, hard to impress football coach, and the players have to impress him by improving their performance. Similarly, this automobile is also has to perform to impress the football coach. And if you look at this football coach, when he is encouraging his teammates on the ground, he is performing to three different audiences. One is to his players, the other is to the gallery, and the third one is to the camera. Now, there are eight kinds of performances if you look at it. Even though the categories are not exclusive or finite. One, everyday life. For example, cooking, socializing, just living. Everything is performance. Second one is art. Now, art in one area could not be considered as art in another area. That is there, but still, let us take it a broad division. In sports and other entertainments, in business, in technology, in sex, in ritual, whether it is a sacred ritual or a secular ritual, in play, everywhere performances take place.